Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off. We begin this morning with the deteriorating conditions inside Gaza. Israeli Defense Forces have now encircled Han Yunis, the main city in southern Gaza, a place where thousands of Palestinians have fled seeking a safe haven from the war. U.S. officials tell NBC News that Israel is searching for a top Hamas leader in that area. The IDF is now considering using seawater to flood underground tunnels to force Hamas militants out from hiding. But Israel's expanding operations are receiving backlash from some of the country's strongest supporters. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had this to say.
It is imperative, it remains imperative, that Israel put a premium on civilian protection. And there does remain a gap between exactly what I said when I was there, the intent to protect civilians, and the actual results that we're seeing on the ground.
NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Israel with the latest. Raf, good morning. So walk us through what the IDF is trying to accomplish here. Any worries that flooding those tunnels with seawater might harm the hostages who are still believed to be inside Gaza?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. A lot of concern for the hostages, especially among their families, and we've been hearing it. In the same way, these families were deeply, deeply concerned that when Israel bombed these Hamas tunnels from the air, they might accidentally kill the hostages. They're deeply worried about this plan to potentially flood Hamas tunnels with seawater because they worry that their loved ones still being held inside. There are around 138 hostages still being held in Gaza. There are no official talks going on right now for a new pause, a new ceasefire that could lead to those hostages being released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But, Joe, also a lot of concern from Palestinian civilians about this potential plan to use seawater. The Palestinian Authority is saying it could have a devastating impact on Gaza's drinking water. Most of the drinking water in Gaza comes from aquifers under the surface. If you flood underground with seawater, you risk contaminating what little drinking water there is available to the 2 million Palestinian civilians. And that is on top, Joe, of a collapsed healthcare system and the fact that so many of these people are now homeless after weeks and weeks of Israeli airstrikes. Joe.
Raf, let's talk about the global response here. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres invoked a rarely used power yesterday to bring attention to that humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It's called Article 99. So explain to us, what powers does this give the UN? Will it have any practical impact to help Gaza at all?
Yeah, so Article 99 gives the Secretary General of the United Nations the power to force a meeting of the United Nations Security Council, which is the top body within that global organization. It doesn't force the Security Council to act. And what the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, is saying is the situation in Gaza is so dire right now that he demands that the world's leading powers, including the United States, come to the table and try to figure out a solution here. But, Joe, we have seen through crises throughout recent history, Ukraine, Syria, now Gaza, the Security Council is often paralyzed in the face of these situations. The U.S. used its veto power back in mid-October to prevent the Security Council from passing a resolution which would have called for a ceasefire. It's likely that if the Council tries again to answer the Secretary General's call for an immediate ceasefire so there can be more humanitarian aid, that the United States might once again use its veto. And that is something that has caused a lot of backlash around the world because there are growing calls on all corners for there to be an end to the fighting so humanitarian aid can be delivered, so civilians in Gaza can have somewhere to go. The U.S. position for now is that it still supports Israel's military campaign, and it is not, at this time, calling for a halt to the fighting. Jeff.
Still, we know President Biden spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu over the phone yesterday about the humanitarian aid to Gaza. Do we know what came out of that meeting? Is Netanyahu losing any support here?
So we definitely have seen a shift in rhetoric from the White House in the early weeks after the October 7th terror attack. it seemed like there was almost unlimited U.S. support for what Israel was doing inside Gaza. Now we're hearing a lot more emphasis on the need for Israel to minimize civilian casualties, on the need for Israel to allow humanitarian aid to get in. One of the big focuses of the Biden administration over the last couple of days has been telling Israel, you have to let more fuel in, because ultimately without fuel, they can't distribute this aid, these basics, water, medicine, food. And there is a dire, dire shortage of fuel right now, both for trucks, but also for power stations. So the Israeli cabinet has agreed to allow more fuel in, and the U.S. is saying that is only because of American pressure. But they are saying that is just the start. There has to be a lot more humanitarian aid across the board.
Jeff. All right. Raf Sanchez in Israel. Raf, thank you so much. On Capitol Hill, a House committee announced it has launched an investigation into 3 of the country's top universities. The House Education and Workforce Committee will be looking into Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania. This comes after a congressional hearing just days ago when the 3 school presidents appeared to sidestep questions about whether students calling for the genocide of Jews is a violation of their conduct codes. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with more on this. Julie, good morning. This is a hearing that's been getting a lot of attention. Now we're seeing the aftermath of it. House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik says the committee is going to use its, quote, full congressional authority to hold those schools accountable for their failure on the global stage. What exactly is the House looking to find in this investigation?
Well, according to the chair of the committee, Virginia Fox, she said the committee, as you mentioned, will use their full subpoena power, but also they will request substantial documents from these 3 universities that were part of this hearing, and also others, as we've seen this rise of anti-Semitism across various college campuses in the U.S., not just these 3 schools. And of course, it came, as you pointed out, after that contentious hearing. One of the most notable exchanges happened between Elise Stefanik, who you see on your screen. She had an exchange with Harvard's President Claudine Gay, asking her repeatedly over and over again if calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard's code of conduct. Gay repeatedly said that while in her personal opinion it does, that it didn't rise to the level of action and violence. And so now we are seeing this investigation launched by the Republican-controlled House, and they are expected to make a big deal of this, make a big point of this, of course, as they've done in various legislation and messaging bills over the last few weeks.
It's not just Republicans. The Biden administration also condemned the school presidents for their responses during the hearing. How are the schools responding to this backlash?
And not just President Biden, various Democrats on the Hill as well, from Senator Richard Blumenthal to others in the House. They are pretty outraged by what they heard on Tuesday, with these presidents just unable to condemn what is so plainly wrong. We did hear some cleanup, though, from the presidents of these universities, in large part because donors were also outraged. There were calls for these presidents to resign by their top boards. And in the hours after this hearing, we heard, for example, a video message from Elizabeth McGill, who's the president of UPenn. She said that she was wrong. She said she should have focused on the genocide in the questioning. She said that it is, quote, evil, plain and simple. We also heard from Harvard, who issued a tweet saying, let me be clear, calls for violence or genocide against the Jewish community or any religious ethnic group are vile and have no place at Harvard. So you clearly see these presidents taking a different tone after that hearing and after all the backlash we saw come of it. But still, this investigation from the House committee will go on.
Julie, while I have you, I want to ask you about the special election in New York to fill George Santos's seat. It's taking place in February. Now New York Democrats have named Tom Suozzi as their candidate for the seat. For those who aren't as deeply knowledgeable on politics as you, what should we know about him?
Yeah, Tom Suozzi, 3-term congressman. He actually left in 2022 to launch an unsuccessful bid, a primary challenge against Governor Kathy Hochul. Now Democrats have picked him to be the front runner in the race to replace George Santos. That special election is going to happen mid-February, February 13th. And this seat, this district that Santos held and represented, this is a pretty safe Democratic seat. Santos was able to flip it. So Democrats do like their chances circumstances in this one, especially in Swazi. He already got some key endorsements, not only from his colleagues in the House, but key party chairs across the state of New York. And certainly this is an important endorsement for him. Republicans still have yet to pick their candidate in the race. That is expected, according to my sources, to be announced in the coming days. And certainly this will be a race to watch, really, as we get close to this special election in the next 2 months to fill this seat. And as House Republicans hope to expand their majority, but certainly that is threatened with Santos's expulsion. And the margin's certainly getting tighter in the House right now. All right, Julie, thank you so much. A man in Albany, New York, was arrested after firing a shotgun outside of a synagogue yesterday. It happened just hours before the beginning of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. The man has been identified as 28-year-old Mufid El-Kader. Officials say he allegedly yelled "Free Palestine" at the time of the incident. No one was injured, but dozens of school children were inside the temple when the shots were fired. He's scheduled to make his first court appearance later today and faces a charge of possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. We're learning new details about the gunman who opened fire Wednesday on the UNLV campus, killing 3 people. Authorities say Anthony Polito was a former North Carolina professor who applied for a position at UNLV but was turned down. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has the latest from Las Vegas.
New details after shots rang out on another American college campus.
We're good. Come on, everybody keep your hands up, you guys. Keep your hands up, please.
This time inside UNLV's business school.
Gunshot was so close. I feel like he's coming in. And the only thing you can do is praying that he doesn't pick this room.
Police say 67-year-old Anthony Polito opened fire on the building's 4th floor just before noon Wednesday, shooting and killing 3. 64-year-old Professor Jerry Chang, 39-year-old Assistant Professor Patricia Navarro-Velez. The 3rd victim, also faculty, hasn't been named until their family can be notified. One gunshot survivor is still in the hospital.
The suspect had a list of people he was seeking on a university campus, as well as faculty from the Eastern Carolina University.
He previously worked at other universities across the Southeast, touted a membership in Mensa, the high IQ society, and was prone to posting conspiracy theories on his personal website. But investigators are stopping short of assigning motive.
We know he applied numerous times for a job with several Nevada higher education institutions and was denied each time.
Police shared video of the moment Polito was killed as he engaged police outside.
Evacuate to a safe area, run, hide, fight.
Business law student Caleb Melise was in class just 2 floors down when he heard the shots rang out.
What did it sound like? It sounded like balloons popping. We were kind of oblivious of it. We didn't really realize what was going on at first.
Melise says, incredibly, this isn't his first mass shooting. He was at the deadliest mass shooting in American history, the Las Vegas Music Festival in 2017 that left 58 people dead.
How many times are we going to go through this? Yeah, some people crying, but it was like, we were like desensitized to it.
A legacy of violence, leaving Las Vegas numb.
Our thanks to Steve Patterson for that report. Authorities say the suspect also sent out at least 22 letters to targets. One that was intercepted contained an unknown white substance, which turned out to be harmless. There's new trouble for Hunter Biden this morning. The embattled son of the president is now indicted on 9 tax-related charges, including 3 felony counts. That's according to documents filed Thursday in a federal court in Los Angeles. For more, let's bring in NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian. Ken, walk us through these new charges and remind us how we got here.
Good morning, Joe. The special counsel is accusing Hunter Biden of evading $1.4 million in taxes from 2014 to 2019. This 56-page scathing indictment says that Hunter Biden earned millions of dollars during that period and was paid through his foreign business entanglements, but was also paid $1.2 million from a third party and spent that money on lavish entertainment, escorts, clubs, and luxury cars, and that he had the money to pay his taxes each year, but he chose not to. It's a powerful indictment that is much broader than the previous plea deal that fell apart back in August, which is how we got here. Remember, Hunter Biden had reached a deal with the prosecution that would have called for no jail time. He was going to admit to misdemeanor tax charges and a gun charge. Now he's charged with felony tax evasion, much more serious charges, Joe.
So as far as reaction goes, are we hearing anything from the White House and anything from Hunter Biden's legal team?
The White House is saying that they did not have advance notice of these charges being filed by the special counsel. Hunter Biden's lawyer, Abby Lowell, is saying that, first of all, he repaid the taxes that he owed, and that secondly, that if his name was anything but Biden, this case never would have been brought, because there's a lot of discretion about tax cases, and when someone repays the taxes, it's very often the case that the prosecutors decline to file charges. But in this case, they have done so, and they are very serious charges.
So Hunter Biden is facing a lot of legal issues. After that plea deal fell apart in September, he was indicted on federal gun charges. Does this newest indictment, the tax charges, impact the gun case at all?
Not directly, but it just complicates Hunter Biden's legal situation, and it ensures that he may be facing 2 criminal trials next year while his father is campaigning for president. So it becomes a political headache for Joe Biden.
Now that the indictments come down, what does come next in the case for Hunter Biden?
Well, he's going to make an initial appearance in Los Angeles that has not been scheduled. And, you know, there's still a chance that they could resume plea negotiations and reach some kind of arrangement on these charges, which are not really contested. He didn't pay the taxes. He did apply for a gun license and lie on a form. He's already admitted that. So there may be some kind of arrangement that can be made. If not, Hunter Biden is facing serious prison time, years and years in prison if convicted on all these charges, Joe.
All right, Ken Delanian, thank you so much. Testimony is expected to continue today in the ongoing civil fraud trial against former President Trump. Trump and members of his family are accused of inflating the values of their assets in order to get better loan terms. In the lawsuit, New York's Attorney General is seeking $250 million in damages. On Thursday, the former president did appear in court and again denied any wrongdoing, calling the case a witch hunt. Let's bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Senadella to break it all down for us. Angela, good morning. So we had an accounting expert testify in Trump's defense yesterday, saying this case doesn't have any merit and that there wasn't anything wrong with Trump's financial statements. How useful is testimony like this for Trump and his family and their legal team? What are your takeaways from yesterday?
So, Joe, overall, legally, I think it's extremely significant because a finding of fraud in any industry is industry specific. And here we have an esteemed professor of accounting at NYU saying that while there were mistakes made, there were obvious accounting mistakes made, that was the responsibility of the external accounting firm and in no way indicated actual accounting fraud. So, yes, mistake, responsibility of outside firm, but no fraud. But the problem here is that the judge already made a finding of fraud specifically with regards to this, with regards to the financial statements having been allegedly inflated. And so to some degree in this actual case, it's irrelevant, but it will be relevant for possible penalties and also for a future appeal.
Trump did have, speaking of appeals, a victory yesterday. An appellate court paused a pretrial order. It called for dissolving some of Trump's businesses. What should we know about that decision and what might happen next with that?
Yes, so that is very helpful for Trump. So this was already stayed, meaning that no finding like this was going to happen during the trial. But now that has been delayed. So not until after an appeals court rules on this case will any of his business certificates be affected. So for Trump, that's an obvious win, given the timing of what's happening in his political career. So that means likely not until a year from now will we have any impact on his certificates.
So we mentioned Trump was in court yesterday. He did not testify yesterday. Testifying, that's expected to happen on Monday. He's supposed to be the defense's last witness. You might remember he took the stand a month ago. He was often combative during that testimony. So what do you think we can expect this time around as this trial nears an end?
Well, Joe, I would say that nothing is really predictable with regards to what Trump will say. But last time he was extremely combative because he was put on the stand as a witness for the plaintiffs. This time it is friendly territory. He is a witness for the defense. And so his own counsel will be leading him and asking him questions. So I expect he'll repeat what he's said all along, that there was no fraud, that he is the real victim here, and likely that this judge is biased.
All right, Angela Senadella, thank you so much for your analysis. As always, we appreciate it. You might want to grab your umbrellas. It's going to be a stormy and wet weekend from coast to coast. Let's get a look at your morning news now. Weather with Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. That's good advice. Grab the umbrellas, but you might look at the satellite and radar across the country right now and wonder why. Well, we've got a system that's kind of hanging out over the Rockies. It's a little weak, but it's eventually going to gain some steam and strengthen and get its act together as we get through the day today and once it gets east of the Rockies. So today, a little bit of snow across the Rockies, but then by later this afternoon into the evening hours, you can see some of these thunderstorms start to develop across parts of the plains. Now, today isn't the big kind of day when it comes to weather. Tomorrow, and especially Sunday, is when it's going to be really impactful. Tomorrow, we're looking at basically Texas up into Tennessee, where we could see some of these thunderstorms developing along this cold front from that system, the same system that just yesterday was coming onshore and impacting folks in the Pacific Northwest. Once it gets into this region, we do have that potential for, like I mentioned, some strong to even severe storms, and we'll be watching that for the afternoon hours of Saturday into the evening hours. So a lot of folks, of course, out and about during that time frame. If you live anywhere from really Nashville down to Houston, or even including places like Lexington, Chattanooga, and Montgomery, New Orleans, you're going to want to have a way to get some of these alerts, because we could see some of these thunderstorms sparking up the potential for some strong wind gusts, damaging wind gusts down trees and such, as well as the large hails, all a possibility. And we can't rule out a couple of tornadoes as well. This is Saturday night. Now, by the time we get into Sunday, all of this moisture kind of takes shape across parts of the East Coast, and from Maine down to Florida, we'll have the potential for some rain. The potential will be there for some heavy rain, so flooding, of course, we can't rule out. This will all get to the East Coast by the time we get to the midday on Sunday. It's going to be good rain, but also some strong winds. We could see upwards of 30, 40, even 50-mile-per-hour winds closer to the coast. And you notice we do have the potential for some ice and some snow. And it's not out of the picture by the time we get to Monday, especially if you live in the Northeast and New England area. That's where we'll still be dealing with some snow falling and some heavy rain working through. Now, specifics on those impacts, some flooding, of course, with anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, upwards of maybe 3 inches of rain possible. So watch for the flooding. Don't drive through those flooded roadways. Of course, we always remind you of that. But notice these impressive wind gusts. These are peak wind gusts that we're expecting in Nantucket. Over 60 miles per hour. New York, 43-mile-per-hour gust possible. Atlantic City, 50-mile-per-hour gust. This is, of course, going to be problematic for airport delays and flight travel, all of that kind of stuff. But, of course, on the roadways, when you add in snow and rain, that'll be problematic, too. Sunday does not look like a good day for traveling across this region. Here's the heaviest snow that you can expect, upwards of maybe 6 inches, close to 8 in some spots in upstate New York. We know that, as I mentioned, it's also going to be gusty. So with that snow falling and the winds blowing like that, we'll have blowing snow, which means reduced visibility, even more difficult on the roadway. So really just a couple of days, I think, Joe, to, I don't know, find some shows on Netflix to watch, binge those, stay inside.
No kidding.
If you have plans on the East Coast, Saturday will be okay, but Sunday is definitely
Sunday's a good day to watch football. Maybe not a good day to play football, but a good day to watch football.
Unless you're indoors, yes.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it. Since we have weather on our minds, let's check in with the COP28 Climate Summit, which is starting to wrap up in Dubai. There is still plenty on the agenda, including some of the more contentious topics like the future of fossil fuels. CNBC senior climate correspondent Diana Olick is there. Diana, good morning. So what's on the agenda today? And you've been there all week. What are some of the highlights of COP28 so far?
Well, Joe, it's really all about fossil fuels. We're now, as you said, in the second week of the COP, and negotiations are really intensifying over the future of their use. The deadline is Tuesday, and we've already seen some preliminary language, which contains everything from phasing out fossil fuels to phasing down to no language in the agreement at all. It's important to note UN rules specify that all parties must agree unanimously on the final COP document, and we know major oil producers like Saudi Arabia are not on board with a phase out or a phase down. President Biden's special envoy for climate change, John Kerry, said here Wednesday in his most direct language yet that the U.S. supports a phase out of fossil fuels. He said we've got to do what the science tells us to do. Of course, U.S. oil production continues to rise and is expected to hit a record high next year. Joe?
So it's not just fossil fuels. Another big part of the agenda is sustainable farming. Talk more about that. Why is it a major focus, and how is that tied to climate change?
Yeah, well, we're seeing a lot at this COP about agriculture because it accounts for 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And today, an announcement from the U.S. Department of Agriculture about an investment fund launched with the UAE that it has now grown to $17 billion. So we caught up with Agriculture Secretary Vilsack here this morning.
We're encouraging more what are called sprint innovations in an effort to try to get more technology and innovations into the system so that we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, sequester more carbon, be more climate smart. 78 sprints, basically resources being invested in everything from reducing methane in livestock to creating new apps for farmers worldwide so they have a better understanding of how their soil is operating under a difficult climate.
And this also includes working with major food producers on this, as well as leaders in sustainable aviation fuel, because it's actually largely made out of biomass. It's so interesting, the synergies that we're seeing here between governments and large corporations. In fact, I spoke with the chief sustainability officer at United Airlines here this morning, and she said COP is like the new Davos Economic Forum. So a lot of money moving, no question, Joe.
No kidding. That says a lot about who's there and what they're trying to get done. All right, Diana Olek, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting this week.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.